Hi, everyone. I'm Jenny Lynn Wire, award-winning author of Steamy Small Town and Spicy Dark Romance, and your host for this episode of Here for the Romance. I'm so excited to welcome author Elise Gedicke to the Author Chat today. Elise is a full-time author from Florida who writes motorcycle club romance, mountain man romance, and dark romance. She lives in her camper and travels the U.S. with her beagle Porthos. A Disney adult, she claims her second home has wheels, but her first one has a castle. Elise believes in the power of found family and the pursuit of happily ever after, even if the path to get there is a little twisted. Elise, thank you so much for joining me today.
Hi, thank you for having me.
So, if a new reader picked up one of your books, what would they expect? So, if you're a new to me author, what would you like readers to immediately think about when they see your name?
So it depends on the series, because I have different ones of different spice levels and different ones of different light versus dark levels. But the biggest overall trope that I apparently unintentionally put into my books is found family. Um, so you'll always have that overarching trope in all of my books.
Yeah, I'm the same way. I have like a line in every almost every single one of my books. You know, it's not the family you're born into, but the family you create for yourself. It's
Yeah,
friendships. I love it. I'm there
yeah.
with you. So motorcycle club romance is one of the big romance tropes that has a huge fan base. I spoke with MJ Marino
Mhm.
um, a couple of episodes ago. So what made you decide to write in that trope? Because you write three main ones, so maybe we can break it down.
Yes.
What kind of you're like motorcycle club or dark romance? So
Yeah.
what attracts you to those tropes?
So I kind of stumbled into dark or to Motorcycle Club. It wasn't actually when I first wrote or started writing Lucky, which is the first book in my Via Demonia Motorcycle Club series. Um it was just a group of veterans. They were just trying to, gain their footing back into society, and some had some um, struggles to, gain their footing and everything. And one of them rolled up on a motorcycle, and I went, "Ooh, okay, we're gonna go back and change this." And that's basically how the Motorcycle Club was born. I
So it
don't
was from a
personally
real life experience that you had?
know
Oh,
like the book, like in the book, one of the characters rolled up
got
on a
it.
motorcycle. Yeah.
Okay.
Um, and so I don't read Motorcycle Club. It's not one of the genres that I'd ever read before. So I had to do a little bit of research and get into it. And so I think that's another reason that my books are not like cookie cutter Motorcycle Club, because I don't read that genre. So you're getting a fresh view of Motorcycle Club with me.
So your most recent release is Deadly Paradise. It's part of the
Yes.
Royal Bastards MC series, and that's a collaborative series because
Yes.
MJ is in that as well. So they are standalone MC romances from various authors. So give readers a sneak peek into your book that you're contributing to this series.
So there each of us have our own series. Each of us have our own storylines and basically domains of different places around the world where our motorcycle clubs are. You'll see different cameos of different motorcycle clubs in each of our books, but where our books are our own. So mine takes place in Oahu, Hawaii. Think Sons of Anarchy in Hawaii. And it's the second book in this series. The first one came out last November. This one came out 2 days ago on Tuesday. So I'm still new to this world, but I'm building it. And these guys um, are they're in the Hawaiian culture. They are Hawaiian. They are not American. So they have a background of being Hawaiian. And that's basically how this group started is they believe in the Hawaiian culture and the Polynesian lifestyle, and they are true to protecting their land. And that's how these all these people started coming together. And then to protect it further, they joined the Royal Bastards Motorcycle Club.
So how hard was that? You said that other MCs or other characters from other authors' books kind of pop into each
Yeah.
other's. How hard was that to collaborate in that way?
Well, for mine, a little bit different because obviously Hawaii is not connected to the main United States. So I kind of have to pull people into my world, or my people have to go, to the
Stateside?
main
Yeah.
48. Um, but because of how I arced it between the first book and the second book, I was able to pull some people in based on a arc that I left open in the first book.
Okay.
So it worked out fine. I have no clue what I'm doing for the third book yet. I know what I'm doing for my people. I have no clue how I'm bringing in two other clubs to it, but I'll figure it out. Somebody has to go on vacation sometime.
Yeah. I mean, why not? It's Hawaii. Let's go.
Exactly, right.
So, what is a trope or a theme? So we're going to switch to your dark romance. So
Okay.
what is a trope or a theme in dark romance that you will defend forever? Could it be like age gap or is it enemies to lovers? Because I write dark, and so I have my
Yeah.
specific hit points that I always put in mind. So, what's your favorite? I will climb on this mountain and die for it trope.
Probably anti-hero.
Oh, yes.
Um, where so in my dark romance, it's a female serial killer, and
Oh,
she is um no she doesn't really have a moral compass.
so she needs
Um,
to have people be her moral compass.
yeah, and
Okay.
so in this case, it's a anti-heroine. But I read dark romance. Like that's a big genre for me personally. And I will for so as a writer and a reader, and I've got other anti-heroes throughout my book series too. But I the hill that I will die on is that the anti-hero is better than a hero in a lot of cases
Mhm,
because he will defend her no matter
mhm.
what, whereas the hero will risk her life to save others.
Okay. Um, we don't want him. Let's take the morally gray guy.
Yeah, I know, right?
So, is there a romance author or a book that shaped you most as a writer? Because I know a lot of us we started out being romance readers.
Yeah,
And then we have the ones that kind of are our go-tos that we'll read like 100 times and never get tired of them. And then that's, how we kind of develop in our author
yeah,
journey. Because I know, like for me, I started out reading Nora Roberts, so romantic suspense was like really big for me. And I think that's why I love having some type of suspenseful element in my books.
yeah.
So what about you? Do you have an author or a specific book that really inspired you to
So I
become?
do, but I don't write, we don't write in the same genres.
Okay.
So Janine Frost writes paranormal romance. And her book series, um, the Night Huntress series got me through a really hard time in my early 20s. And so even now, I just, I'm feeling down or I'm, stuck on something. I just, go for a drive and throw in one of her audiobooks. And even though I've read it 1,000 times and I know the plot completely by heart,
Mhm.
and it just for some reason I really connect with those books.
So is there
Um,
anything from that that you notice that you've kind of taken into your writing?
probably the anti-hero
Okay.
idea. The morally gray, but also the strength of the women that she writes.
Strong women, yeah, a
Yeah.
must.
Um, my damsels in distress aren't really that, damselly. They
I mean, it's I like how a lot of because MJ said the same thing to where there's like a certain formula to motorcycle club romance, and it's always, the kind of the alpha man, and then the woman's kind of weak and controlling, and she does whatever
yeah,
he says. But apparently, I love how that's kind of not the thing anymore. That the
yeah,
women are as strong or stronger, you know, life wise, mentally wise,
yeah,
as the
and
men
sometimes they're as unhinged as he
is
is.
unhinged.
Yeah. And so I think overall that series just resonates with me the most because it was probably the first time that I ever really like connected with a character that way. Like I read a lot of other books, but that for some reason that series just stood out for me, and it's been there for me ever since. And she just published a new book, and I was really really upset that I couldn't go, and because I've met her too, but I couldn't go to the book signing that she had down in South Carolina, because I had my own book signing in Roanoke. So I was like, well darn. But I think I think because it's paranormal romance and I don't have that paranormal aspect to my books, um, I think it's hard to compare apples to apples. But I do think that her writing definitely helped shape some of my earlier drafts.
Makes sense. So how do you balance writing intense, maybe sometimes taboo, because we're
Yeah.
considered as dark romance authors as kind of hitting the taboo moments.
Yeah.
So how do you balance those intense taboo content while still creating an emotional connection? Because to me, that's like the core of every romance book, is that you have to connect with the
Yeah.
characters and go on their journey and feel like you're there with them.
Yeah. So I'm very character driven in my books.
Mhm.
I mean, I have the overall plot in my head. I have certain bullet points that I know I plan on hitting. But for the most part, as soon as I start writing, the characters take over and
Oh yeah.
I'm just a set of fingers on a keyboard.
Yep, I'm a
Um
pantser. Yep, I gotcha.
and it's one of those things where like my alpha readers have come back to me and they're like, okay, you do realize he's not a real person, right? You keep talking about his thoughts and his feelings, and he's not a real person. And I'm like, shut up.
Well,
So
to you, he is, because
yeah,
he came
he's
from
the
you.
voice,
He came from,
the
yeah.
voices in my head. So for me, the situation, whether it's taboo or not, I mean, there are certain things that are taboo for one person that aren't for another.
Yeah.
And there are
Oh,
certain
it's so
things that,
subjective. Yeah.
oh my gosh, so subjective, in the trigger warnings and everything like that.
Mm-hmm.
So I write the book based on the characters, based on the plot that I've created, and the book is as it is. I'm not writing to hit a checklist on a trope, list. I'm not writing because this taboo is currently a fad or anything like that. I write the story that I feel needs to be written. And so as far as like covering some of those taboos, sometimes I don't even realize that I hit that taboo until somebody else tells me about it. So I think that's part of the reason that a lot of readers have come back to me and said how natural or how um, like fluid the books are over those taboo situations. One of my main characters had ED after as a side effect of his PTSD.
Okay.
and they thought that I was very respectful and very, I wouldn't go into like a lot of the medical jargon, but at the same time, I was, um, I expressed this situation very realistically.
Do you
I
use
didn't know.
sensitivity readers at all?
Yes,
You do?
yes.
Okay. Hmm.
Um, and and cultural advisors for the Royal Bastards, because as you can tell, I am not Hawaiian. So I do also have three cultural advisors who are Hawaiian for the Royal Bastards
Oh,
series.
very good.
Um, but there are certain ones where yes, I do have very specific sensitivity readers based
The
on that,
content that you're
but
doing.
they read it after my alphas and my betas already have it. So a lot of it, they're getting it later. Or I'll text them and I'll say, "Hey, is this wording correct?" And they'll say yes or no, but they don't read the full book until later. But the like before my editor gets it. Um, but as far as like a lot of these taboo situations, I'm not writing to be taboo. I'm not writing to hit that marker. So I think that's one of the things that kind of makes my books a little different on that because I'm not I'm not realizing it's taboo until later. If I don't know if that makes sense.
Huh. No, that makes sense. I mean, you're just writing your story the way that you want to
Yeah.
write it, and then, I mean, like you said, one reader can look at it and go, "Pff," whatever, and then
Yeah.
another reader goes, ah, that's,
Yeah.
you know, so yeah, completely subjective. It's a conversation I have almost every podcast with an author, and
Yeah.
because it's broad spectrum.
And a lot of things right now are just they're 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 following the trends. They're following the what's popular on Book Talk and everything like
Yeah,
that.
like
And
hockey. Nope.
yeah,
I'll
no.
never write a
I
hockey. I'm sorry.
I will not touch that one with a 10-foot pole.
Well, I've never watched
Um
the sport, so I'm not, I'm
yeah,
never
I mean
gonna
same thing.
write
Like
it.
people are like, when are you gonna write a baseball romance? Never?
It's like I don't watch baseball.
So the fact that people are asking for those genres from me, I think means I'm doing something right. But at the same time, those books are never, those genres and stuff are never going to come from me.
And you also have to be excited about what you write as well. And if you're
Yeah,
not interested
exactly.
in it, it's kind of like you're pulling,
Yes.
every day, struggling,
You
trying
can
to,
tell when an author's heart isn't in a story.
yeah. Yeah, absolutely. So how do you approach building a motorcycle club world that feels authentic but still fits the romance reader's expectations? Because you said that you had never read one before, and so you had to do a lot of research.
Yeah.
And so, what do you do to make that world immersive, but then also have hit those romance points that readers expect in a romance book?
So, my first series is my Via Demonia Motorcycle Club series. And that's my main series. The 12th book in that series is coming out next month. And for that one, they're not one percenters, so they're not outlaws. Think opposite of Sons of Anarchy. And as I said earlier, originally it started out as just a group of veterans who were trying to like find their footing in the world after, coming back from deployment and no longer being active military. And I grew up in a very military big area. My family wasn't military, but I grew up learning the jargon and um, meeting soldiers and doing different uh, VA events with them. So veterans were in my head, initially. So I knew going in that these guys were all going to be veterans, and to be able to get into my motorcycle club, you had to be honorably discharged. Um, and so initially they started out very easygoing. and it was for about 6 years. They planted roots in the town. They helped out with the community. They built, they have regular jobs. They did everything. And then I started with the first book, I started creating all of these little issues that popped up.
Mm.
And that's where the typical motorcycle club issues start, playing in. As I said before, my books also aren't cookie cutter motorcycle club. So it's very immersive into my world because I don't have that, they're not breaking the law to break the law. They're not breaking the law to be the bad guy. Um, I had a conversation with a friend of mine the other day where we got so sick of reading books, not motorcycle club books, but just in general,
Yeah.
where the main character walks into the room and declares himself to be a badass. He's the badass. I'm sorry, if you have to tell us that you're the badass, you're not badass. So, if he walks into the room and declares that he's the alpha male. Really?
Yeah. No.
Yeah, no. And so we actually went on like a 45-minute tangent on this topic. And so, and that was one of the things that we were just going back that we couldn't stand writing those sorts of characters.
Yeah.
Because if you have to come out and say it, if you're talking about this character who's, the best at something, but then you don't show it later, but you keep saying it.
Yeah. You got to
That
show,
character
not tell. Yep.
yeah, that
Yeah.
character contradiction is one of the things that has always annoyed me as a reader. And so I'm always very careful with that and making sure that as I'm building my worlds, as I'm building my characters, that they're true to who they are without being these over the top macho guys that have to, pound a wall to prove that they're strong and stuff like
Mm.
that. And again, I'm being, stereotypical here to prove a point, but the idea is that I didn't want those characters. And I needed those backstories. I needed those traumas. I needed to know
Mm.
everything about them prior to writing their books. So one of the exercises that one of my alphas does with me is she has this list of random questions, and she turns to me and she goes, "Okay, character A, does he prefer coffee or tea? And character B, what's her favorite color?" And we go through these different things, and I have to be able to answer the question before I can start writing that book.
Yeah. I always do
So
that.
yeah,
Yeah. I do that too. I
yeah,
always do
and
like favorite book, favorite color, favorite
yeah,
movie. I have that kind of list. Yeah.
yeah. And even if it's never something that gets touched on in the book,
Mhm.
I feel like I know this character well enough to be able to write his story. And it's just a nice little exercise to be able to do. But I kind of feel like in doing that, I'm growing these characters, I'm growing this world that is so immersive that you don't realize that you're reading a book. You feel like you're standing next to them versus watching over them.
Yeah. You know them as a real person,
Person.
even though they're fictional.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, why do you think readers love morally gray men, morally gray MCs so much? Because I'm one of them. I'm guilty.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's the idea of you've got society and you've got, laws and you've got structure that happens within a society. And the idea of a morally great character goes beyond standards because in a society, in a lawful situation, there's that line that you don't cross. And without, you know, hesitation, the morally gray character crosses that line.
Tiptoes right
And
over it.
it's the idea of not saying I will do anything for you, and he actually does anything for her.
Hmm.
And again, it goes back to show, not tell. Those
Yeah.
romantic words of, I would slay dragons for you. I would, do this for you. Well, are you actually going to do that, or is that just something that you say? And the fact that a morally gray character doesn't say those words,
He
but does those
does those
words,
things. Yeah.
does them. I think that's the hook.
Yeah. Yeah. I absolutely agree. So which character, a hero or a heroine, challenged you the most to write? Oh, okay. This sounds like, all right, fill me in.
um, how explicit am I allowed to get on here?
Not very.
Not very.
So,
Okay, so
yeah.
we'll need to dumb this down a little bit. So Scar is book 8 in my Motorcycle Club, the VDMC series.
Mm.
And he's my mystery man. I honestly did not expect him to gain the following that he did, but from book 1, people were like, "When's Scar's book coming?" Um, I knew his story, his backstory for years. That character has been with me for a long time, but I didn't know what to do with the character. So when I started writing this series, I realized I could add him to this and finally tell his story.
Okay.
Well, I kind of thought that everybody would be like, "Oh, he's such an asshole. We don't need his story," sort of thing, and I'd have to like build to get his story told. I did not expect from book 1 for him to gain a following.
That's usually
But
how
the
it goes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the problem was that the original woman that I had for him in my head, I couldn't pair her with him. The more I got to know him, the more that I fine-tuned his story and his backstory, the
And you're
more
like,
I
ugh,
realized
she needs to
that
go away.
she is the absolute worst person for him.
Oh,
Yeah,
so you had to,
I had to scrap her.
yeah.
Um, but then I was writing a different book, and I was really struggling with the female character for this book. I kept going back and forth with her backstory and, changing ailments that she had. And I mean, it was awful. I don't think I've ever written so many rough drafts
Mm.
before. Like, I could not get her nailed down as to her character. And so it was really bothering me, like really bothering me. And I was like, well, what am I supposed to do? Because I had this book set as the next in the series, but I can't get this character to do anything. So I just kept writing just to see if I could just come up with something. And I realized the issue was the fact that she had a bigger connection with Scar than she had with the main male character.
Oh, so you
And
popped her.
I I I I I couldn't I realized that the connection between those two was too strong for her to be with the main male character.
Mhm.
And so I was like, well, wait a second. I just figured out who is supposed to be with Scar, but it's in the wrong order. So I went back to the drawing board on both books. And I realized that while the main female character for the book that I was writing was going to end up with the main male character, obviously, the ailment that I had for her was all wrong. So I changed that to Scars Lady, and both books just came like flying out of me, like
Oh,
almost
wow.
automatically.
Okay,
So
I need some of that.
as soon as I realized what was wrong, like it was one thing,
And then it just clicked.
and it just clicked. And as soon as I realized that, everything just came like bursting out. But I don't think I've ever struggled that hard to get inside a character's head before. And that is something that is very unusual for me.
Yeah, I'm at that point now in my whip that I'm like 62K in and I'm like, oh, and
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
like pulling stuff out, trying to
Hmm.
get it to fit.
Yep.
So do you said that you're more of a pantser, that you'll make kind of like bullet points and everything, but you don't plot stuff out.
I
So
I call myself kind of like a plantser
you're a
because
hybrid.
yeah, I do have an overall arc. I do
Mm.
know that A and B and C and D are going to happen in this book. But I'm also not married to that plot. And a lot of times as I'm writing, things
Everything
happen
changes, yeah.
and everything changes. Or I realize that I don't need this bullet point,
Mhm.
like at all. So, or I'll tweak it, or the character for some reason turns right instead of left. And, so I'm not forcing that plot because once I get going, the characters basically take the wheel.
See, because that's what I do, and I consider myself a full pantser, because it's like I know some
Yeah.
things, but I just write
Well,
organically and let the characters
like
tell the story.
I have a friend who, literally just opens up a document and just starts writing, and the characters and everything forms as she's writing. So I call her a pantser because she doesn't plot. She doesn't add anything to, have like a little outline or, any bullet points or anything that she's trying to do. Then I have another friend who actually full on like fifth grade outlines with the
Yep.
Roman numerals
Huge,
and
huge
and
thing that
she's
she's tagged up.
she's got
Yeah,
she's got this like wall in her office for like
we must have the
timelines
same friend because mine's
and
like that too.
I'm like, yeah, I'm somewhere in between you two.
Okay. Yeah, I
So
could never do it.
no,
I would
no.
just waste my
Um
time making pretty charts and I would never get
yeah. Yeah. And
it.
like she's got like sticky notes like everywhere.
Yeah.
And
I
so
don't
I
know how
I
they
kind
do
of like
that.
that's where I call myself a plantser because I'm kind of like a little bit here and a little bit there, but
I
I'm
have
not
one sticky
full
note
on.
and then
Yeah, like I've got my list of like certain outline things, but sometimes I'm writing and I completely forget that the outline's over there.
yeah.
And it's not until later that I'm like, oh crap, hold on. And then that's when I'm like going through and I'm like, okay, I actually wrote all of that already, so we're good. Or I look at it and I'm like, yeah, that is not happening at all.
So, what do you wish people understood better about the dark romance trope? Because we've come under fire recently, and I think that there's a lot of misunderstanding about, because a lot of people think dark means erotica, and it doesn't. Those two are completely different things. And
Yep.
so, what do you think people, what would you want readers to understand better about the dark romance?
So I think that dark romance is the same as any other romance. It's there are romance that is closed door and there's romance that is open door. There is romance that has plot, and there is romance that has no plot
Yeah.
whatsoever. Um, every book is its own story to be told, and every reader has a right to read those stories without judgment. Whether you like the darker, grittier, morally gray genre, or you like the sweet,
Light and
small
fluffy.
town romance,
Yeah.
where they hold hands and sing Kumbaya around the fire. That is your right. That is as a reader, you are allowed to read what it is that you like to read. However, there are, just like with anything else, there are some people who spoil things and make it more difficult for others. Authors who um, glorify certain tropes or victimization.
Mhm.
I am not okay with that.
Yeah.
But there are people who seek those stories out. I will never write that. You don't come to my table for that. But that also doesn't mean you get to come to my table and shame me for the stuff that I write.
That's so
Um,
confusing because you're being singled out because of a trope when your story has never been read.
yeah,
So
yeah.
how do you know? You know?
Exactly. And everything. They don't know the situation. They're just following a fad. I mean, I had a good friend who was accused of using AI for for her last release, and
Oh, get me started in
sh
AI. Oh my gosh.
she has never touched AI at all.
M dashes are not
Um,
AI. I don't know how many times I have to beat that into the wall. I've been using
yeah.
M dashes for freaking ever.
And
And
it's
people need to
yeah.
understand AI learned off of us. It
Yes.
copies us. We were
Us.
doing it before AI
Yep.
ever existed.
Yep. Um, and so like for and giggles, I took one of my books and just the first chapter, I plugged it into an AI detector
No.
to see what the ratio was. Apparently, I'm only 67% human. I don't know what my parents were doing at my conception. I don't want to know. Apparently, I'm only 67% human
Yes. All
because
all of those
that
they're not good or reliable, and
I'm like,
people
are you
shouldn't plug
kidding
stuff.
me?
Yeah, people shouldn't plug stuff in them because you're now
There's no
feeding
Yes, there's
our
no way.
material into
There's
that.
Yeah. And I'm like, so I was trying to comfort her and just be like, you have no reason to prove anything to anybody. But then we got into how people were returning her books. Like she could see the negative numbers and everything because of this. And I'm just like, it's just like with anything else, like the tropes, the AI, everything. People are just so negative about certain things anymore. But if you love reading and you love supporting authors and you love supporting indie authors, then do everything you can to support them and don't, you know, talk about something that you don't understand.
So, since we're on the topic, for any authors who are watching the podcast or listening to the podcast, um, one thing that I started doing, the Authors Guild has something called the Human Authored Project. So you can
Yeah,
register your books with them to get, a certificate verifying that you wrote it and
yeah,
it is not AI in any way. That is now open to all authors. So you don't even have to be a member of the Authors Guild. If you're a non-member, I think you have to pay like a $10 registration fee. But I do that now for all of my books, and I have the certificate and the number and everything like title page. This
yeah.
was written by me.
I was gonna look into that. I didn't realize it was open for non-members now. But I was gonna look into that after what happened to my friend. Um, but the fact that we even have to do it at all,
I know.
that's a whole nother conversation that could take us a hell of a lot longer than a half an hour.
Yeah. Okay, so let's go into something a little more cheerier. So what is your current obsession besides books? So is there like a movie? Is there, something else?
Well, I just came from Disney, so
That's right. You are a Disney obsessed. Okay. Okay. So
yeah,
one
yeah,
and done. Already read that in your bio. We've
uh,
got that question answered.
yeah.
Okay, so how about some this or that? So possessive hero or silent broody protector?
Ooh, I'm gonna go with Silent and Broody.
Oh, I love the broody guys. Oh,
Oh my God.
and then book boyfriend traits. What makes a good MMC for Motorcycle Club, and what makes a good MMC for dark romance? Because they can be completely different.
They can be. I think that, it depends. Like I said, like I've got the three different motorcycle clubs. One is more of your protector motorcycle. The other one is going to be your morally gray motorcycle club, and the other one is going to be your dark motorcycle club. So I do have the dark MC and dark romance and regular motorcycle club. But I think overall, the thing that connects all of them is the fact that regardless of their past, they're willing to overcome any trauma for her.
So we'll do anything for her. Okay.
Yeah.
So what advice would you give to aspiring authors who want to write stories with darker themes?
Do your research. Make sure that, despite what you may read, that it's actually something that can actually happen. Um, Unless you're in paranormal romance, and then all and everything is world building with, and you can do whatever you want. Um, but the idea of a darker character is very popular right now. So make sure that you make it your own and you're not just, filling in for a trope. You don't just add something in there that doesn't actually pertain to the story.
Or makes sense with its continuity.
Yeah.
So what is something you are currently working on that you are excited for readers to know about?
So the book that I'm currently working on is book 14 in my Via Demonia Motorcycle Club series. And Ranger is the enforcer in my club, but he is struggling currently with addiction. And so I am trying to bring light to a lot of the problems with addiction that a lot of people stereotype, and being able to incorporate that into his healing process.
When is that one do you expect to publish?
I think that one is coming out in August, I think.
Okay, so not too much longer.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then what is something you are planning for 2027? Have you gotten that far yet?
I've got 2028 on the books.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
Any spoilers you want to
Um,
leak?
I have a book with twins coming out in 2027.
So is this going to be a poly?
And it is going to be poly, but no incest. But they are very, very connected, to the point where they're like one person in two bodies. And it's part of the thing that like nobody can tell them apart, but she can. So I'm really looking forward to that one.
And then well, what about 2028? You said you already had stuff planned in 2028. I'm gonna fish that
Yeah.
2 years from now. Let's go.
Well, as long as everything happens in 2027 that I want it to happen, 2028 will start my next gen of my motorcycle club series. Yeah.
So I'm going to wrap everything up now. I want to thank you so much for joining me today. It was a
Yeah,
pleasure
thank you.
speaking with you. You can find Lisa's books on Amazon and Kindle Unlimited, and I will provide links to her website and her recent releases below in the description box. And until next time, happy reading, everybody.